Hey, I'm so glad you stopped by for a visit. Hope your day's great. What have you been up to? For me, it's been grocery list day. Grocery list day is sometimes hard. So, here's how I work on mine. You can leave a comment below how you work on yours. Any suggestions, we would be glad to hear all of them. But the first thing I do is make a menu, and we'll talk about that in another visit, how I actually go through making my menus. But my menu, because we shop every 2 weeks, every other week, I have a menu for that 2 weeks. And I check the menu to see what needs to be on there. I write everything down on my list, and it's just a piece of notebook paper. It's nothing fancy. I write everything down that we're going to need to eat for our meals that week. Then I go back and I add in, breakfast things, lunch things, snacks, movie snacks sometimes when we have a special family time, drinks, water bottles. So grab your water bottles. Hope you've got your water or whatever you're drinking to stay hydrated. Right now, where we live, it's very, very hot, and we need a lot of water. So we buy Gatorades, we buy juices, things that have electrolytes and potassium and all the goodness in it. And sometimes, to be honest, we do use plastic. We use disposable bottles. This is plastic. This is what I like. It's called Contigo. There it is at the very, very bottom. And this is not one of the hydro super cooler, keeps everything ice in there. This is not one of those. Now, my family uses those because they're out in the sun and the heat, and they need to keep theirs. I can refill mine, so it's not really a big deal. And I like this size better because it's lighter and it fits in a cup holder. So that's what I use. But back to the grocery list. We have to add those things down. And even though they do use refillable jugs, there are times that you're gonna need something that you can throw away. If your hands are nasty and muddy and gunky, and depending on where you work and what you've been touching, you may want to just throw that bottle away. So you got to do what works for your family. But anyway, once I get everything written down on my list that we're going to need, then I check the little whiteboards. What are we out of? Are we out of, toothpaste or flour or dog food? And that's something, always check on your pets. What do they need? Now, right now, pet food has gotten super expensive, and I don't know why. Cat food was so hard to find, but there for a while, kitty food was very, very hard to find, so we had to really look for that. But then after I get that done, I check the cupboards. So that's when I check the pantry. What do we already have? And if we already have it in the pantry, I can mark that off. If it's in the cupboards, if it's in the freezer, if it's in the refrigerator, if we need sour cream, do I have enough sour cream for the next 2 weeks, or do I need to buy another one to be used after that one is used up? It's just a process. It's a lot of thought that goes into it, and that's just the grocery list. That's not menu planning. It's the grocery list. What do we actually need? And then, of course, when I write it down, I put them in sections. So I think through my mind how the stores are laid out. So the dairies are all together, the meats together, vegetables, frozen stuff is together. It's so that I can group it, and I'm not like running back and forth through the store, or you're having to leave somebody here. You stay here because I'm going to run over here and get this that I forgot, and then when you come back, they're already gone. Or maybe you sent them, and when they come back, you're already gone. I get accused of that a lot. My family says I ditch people. I probably do. But my mother ditched me when I would help her, so I guess it's a family tradition. Sorry, boys. So Then, once I get everything written down and in the, sections that will be easy for me to go through the store, I check prices. Leave me a thumbs up if you check prices. Do you just buy what you need because this is what you need? Or do you check the prices to stay within a budget? Do you have a budget? We have a budget that we try to stay on. And so if I can stay in the budget and we have extra money left over, then we can buy some of the extras, or I can buy a few things for the pantries. But if we can't get it, if you need cherries and they're $10 a pound, I pray they're not, but let's say they were, you may not want to get those. So that might be something that you take off of your list and you substitute it with something else that might be in season. That's another thing. I check for the vegetables and the fruits that are in season, and that's part of the menu planning. But sometimes I just put down fruit. It depends on what is in season, what is on sale. If you're in August, clementines, oranges, citrus stuff may not be on sale. That's not their season. But peaches might be, depending on where you live. I don't know where you live. I hope that, you're enjoying the fruits of the season wherever you live. But even the vegetables, I've noticed that some of the vegetables that I was trying to get to cook with, that it was not the right season. So they were going bad. So I was having to process some of the foods into dishes or into the freezer a little faster than maybe what I was comfortable with. But I check prices. I go to the cheapest store first, and then what I can't get there, I go across the street to the other store. And anything, I usually can get everything but one. Our dog food we have to buy in our local town as opposed to going to a bigger town where these stores are, because our local store is the only one that carries what he can eat. So I check all the prices. I write them down. I write down milk and I write down the price. Ours is $2.93. So if I go to the first store and it's cheaper, well, then I know I need to pick up the milk there. Which, here's another tip. If you do this, take coolers. If you are in an area that's having a heat wave, and I know so many people right now are, take coolers. Double bag those cooler bags. Put ice packs in there. Last year, I actually froze a gallon of water and would put that in the cooler to help keep it. And that's another thing, if you're going to buy ice cream or you're buying frozen meats or something, you may want to buy that at the store where you're getting ready to come home. That's the last store that you go. And I actually plan on, if it does thaw out a little bit on the way home, I'm going to do something with that meat once I get home, whether it's meal prepping or bagging it in the freezers or something like that. Like, I actually plan what I'm going to do with it. It's not like ice cream that's just going to go bleh. Because, yeah. Funny story. My mother would actually take my ice cream out of the cooler to put her ice cream in the cooler. Yeah. I can laugh at it now, but back then I wasn't laughing. I was the one with very unhappy children when they got home and their ice cream was melted. But that is how I do the grocery list. And I actually do my grocery list the week before I have to actually go to the store. So since I will not be buying groceries till next week, I make it this week. And then that gives me a week to add all those things that you forget, because there's always something you forgot to put on the list. Or someone says, hey, hey, can you get me this at the grocery store? Or you get home and you've spent your budget, or even maybe went over your budget, and they go, "Oh, what, you didn't get this for me? I told you." Yeah, if you don't write it down, I'm not going to remember it. I'm sorry. It's not personal, but I'm not going to remember it. So that's why I have a list. And that's how I do my list. Leave me a comment if you have any suggestions on how I can make this more sufficient and easier. I thought about typing up a master list since we do buy basically the same thing, but right now I'm out of ink, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way with ink and a pen, and I just write it down. I have used a printed list before, and it was great, but there was a lot of things. I printed it off of a site that I had found, a free grocery list, and there was a lot of stuff on there. I don't need diapers. I don't need baby food. Those days, they're gone. If you're in those days, you have my thoughts and prayers as you try to price diapers and baby food and baby needs, because I know they are super expensive. I happened to walk down the baby aisle and just was floored at what baby formula cost now, as opposed to what it did 20 years ago when I was having to buy formula. So it's hard, it's just really, really hard. So if you're making grocery lists today, then I hope maybe we can encourage each other and help each other remember some of the things that we always forget. And I'm so glad that you stopped by. I enjoy your visits so much, and it's such an encouragement to me to have you visit. And I hope you'll stop by again, and we can solve some more of our problems, and we can find out better ways of doing things, because seasons in life change. And the season in our life is different than it was, a couple years ago, or even even 10 years ago when we had younger kids. Ours are grown now. So we just have different seasons in life. And when life changes, we have to make changes too. So thank you again for visiting me, and I hope you'll come back very, very soon. Have a very blessed day. Bye.